All right, hello there. This is the third round of the Wargame Red Dragon Micro Deck Tournament of the winter of 2022. And with me today is my co-host Trout. Today we'll be examining a fight between teams Bravo, led by Z, and Delta Team, led by Opval. Now let's get started.
I'm super excited about this fight. It is a good heli rush fight, and it's going to be really fun to watch. So
That's gonna be quite interesting. We got uh we got Z's team over here. He's got a lot of MI24s, just so many MI24s and K52s. Um, it's going to be interesting to see how Opval's team is going to be able to respond to that once the match begins. But it looks like Opval's kind of leading with a strong lead of those anti-tank infantry fights, anti-tank infantry. So let's do the countdown and watch this fight commence.
just to confirm, we're starting at 10 minutes.
Yep, that turn
All
10
right.
minutes. Yep. All right, three, two, one, go.
I almost feel bad for Opfel with those anti-tank infantry because it's like what you would expect to pull and what would be important to pull. Um, but in this match,
But
they won't do anything.
but yeah, this map is it's a lot of tight spaces, a lot of what do you call it? Choke points with the bridges, and it makes sense to pull anti-tank infantry, but just as equally as well as man pads.
Yes,
Um, Especially on a map like this wide, there is a lot to cover, and looks like some guy Marine are doing this massive heli rush over the water. They're just bypassing Delta, bypassing Gulf, no fucks given. They're gonna looks like they are just gonna make a run for Juliet.
I'm guessing they're planning to get that. Does it have an air corridor or is it only a sea corridor there? I
It
think
has
it's
a land and sea corridor,
okay.
no
Okay.
air corridor, but a land corridor does give you access to helicopters just as equally. So for
Okay.
them, if they are all heli players at this point, a Juliet is just going to be as good as the corridor at this point. Oh, and comrade running into Juliet
This
with
poor
some
supply truck.
supply trucks. Those poor bastards. Oh, and first blood on a supply truck.
That I did not expect. That's not usually what you expect as the front line.
Oh my God, look at this. This is disgusting. This heli rush. Absolutely disgusting heli rush. All right, so by now they have to have seen all these helicopters and all the bullshit shenanigans that's over here. And it looks like Comrade is getting a lot of stuff up over here. We got some Type 80 Spakes finally coming in from Opval, but we'll see how well those hold up, and I don't think it's going to be very well.
Now, interestingly enough, Comrade actually got a command unit down on Juliet, and that's definitely bought them a little bit of time in order to prevent an immediate pull of reinforcement helicopters onto Juliet.
Yeah,
Yeah, now they've just finally got it. So I wonder if that little bit of time is going to be how important that's going to be in terms of the response.
yeah. Well, looks like they got Comrade's got his main defense up in Foxtrot. Looks like they're pretty respectably well dug into Echo. They got some defenses in Alpha. They got Hotel, which will be interesting.
Now, the response is coming in. It's all ground-based bags, and it's kind of just rolling up slowly right now through India. And I'm interested to see how this goes with those Mi-24Ds, as they don't have a fob, so they don't really have supply, and that will make it challenging, as they've kind of spent their ammo, and now what do they do?
Ooh, Tunguska's over there just mowing those Mi-24s up, and the Comrade's got an ITO 90 up, and they know it's coming. The pain is coming for them, and they know it.
They've done a really good job of just bringing those defenses up to prevent a capture of the fob, because I think that's what the Mi-24D was attempting to do here. The little rusher on the back is to snipe that fob or capture that fob.
hmm Now, I think if they would have respected the boundaries of what they took and just held Juliet with those helicopters, they might have been able to do a lot more damage. Especially for like the forces that were still in Echo or maybe even Foxtrot. They might have been able to pull those helicopters back up from Juliet to Foxtrot and just wiped out whatever they had over there because they did not have much in the way of like anti-air defenses. And those Mi-24s are looking pretty thirsty. But we do have some helicopters inbound to give reinforcements to those Gordostrelkis that just got absolutely murked.
Yeah,
Alpha is doing a little heli rush of his own over here. I see. If you're
nice.
looking at Charlie,
That's kind of a fun early, knowing that they put all those points into helicopters, knowing they put all those points into that kind of stuff. It's a pretty safe bet that they haven't really put too much into anti-air, and sort of an early heli rush. Is it the worst thing in the world? The only issue is there's the Mi-8s don't really have anything that's anti-helicopter.
yeah, it's just a lot of feeding. Those Mi-8s aren't really doing anything to support the fight. Um, if they can take out the Mi-4, losing all those Mi-8s might just be worth it. But we have to see yet. The Mi-4 is still on the ground. It is still on the ground. Will these Mi-8s be able to? Well, nope, nope. It got off the ground. Nope. The Mi-4 was not having it.
Uh,
It was a good attempt, but the Mi-4 standards do not have even a machine gun to
now,
annoy the
I,
Mi-4. Now the Mi-4 is harassing them with its PKT.
I'm a little bit surprised they haven't pulled any supply into Juliet. So they moved up all the infantry. They have the helicopters, but a couple supply trucks just to resupply, rearm, make sure those Mi-24s aren't just going on suicide rushes would seem like a pretty good investment at this point. Mine, yeah, I mean, most of the Mi-24s at this point are already down, so it's kind of late for that. But
Yeah.
now looking at the points, for all that, the big rush, they just lost their 1 point lead. They just got it back again, so they're only at a +1. So for all the maneuver, all that getting in place, they don't have any command down on their side of the map to get the points to get that point lead.
Yep. They've been
And that
slacking taking Delta and Gulf when they have every reason to. Every reason to take
uh,
Delta and Gulf.
absolutely, absolutely.
And we know that there's an MI4 AVPK there. Um, that should be their priority real quick because even the MI4, has very good optics. You leave it parked somewhere on open space, it'll see what's coming at it from a distance.
Now, kind of like that earlier Mi-8 rush. Uphel's bringing in a landing force again, but it's unsupported, and we kind of wonder how that's going to go. Just because,
Well, with that Su-25T, I can tell you it's not going to go very well. Interestingly
yeah,
enough, the Su-25T took out the transport, but now the amphibious transport makes it still into the water. That is interesting. I did not know that. That is interesting. All the more reasons why you should take infantry base. How do you say amphibious base transports in your landing craft?
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, it's kind of cool to see that and realize, hey, there's a reason. There's a very good reason. So it looks like they're starting to push up into Juliet, try to recapture that. It's pretty light though. It's only a couple units of infantry just to get a bit of a front line. Mostly Spags. So I'm interested to see how long it will take for them to actually push them off Juliet here.
Oh, they have a good idea of where their command was.
Oh, they nailed that right on. Yep, they're dropping artillery on it there. You're absolutely right. Now, if they can snipe that, that will be quite decisive, actually.
Some guy is taking a smart move and moving around a little bit.
Now, this is something I was wondering about. What some guys doing now is starting to push up on the backside of Foxtrot, and I was thinking they would do that earlier because it's kind of a soft spot where they can pull the extra anti-air in from India, um, on Opel side there, but the the assets that are already there on Foxtrot won't have necessarily that solid anti-air net over them.
And I'm watching Comrade's Su-27K trying to engage his helicopters, but not realizing that those radar guided missiles don't engage helicopters. They only engage planes. Maybe he was trying to go after like the Su-25D or 27PU, but 127K is not gonna stand up well against 27PU.
Okay, so now they've actually pulled BMPTs in, and that's an interesting choice. Marines pulled them into Juliet, and so long as they don't pull any heavy tanks, it's not really a bad choice in terms of trying to eat up some of that infantry that's being pushed in by Opval into Juliet.
No, not at all. That will mulch them pretty good. Those BMPTs are not to be taken lightly. And the grenade launcher is just doing havoc.
But yeah, those Geogokdai are definitely panicked and not very happy about this.
Now I think they lost a squad to that BMPT just with a grenade launcher and the 100 millimeter AG frag rounds. Let's see. So
Now,
we got a Jiangchu over here, and successfully defending itself from from anti-ship.
one of the things I'm really interested about this match, and I'm kind of confused by, is with helicopters, you've really got to cycle them back and forth to rearm them. And they're just cycling their helicopters back right now to rearm and repair them, refuel, and get them ready to go in for another wave, another assault. And rather than doing some of the attacks onto India, and rather than kind of having them just sit there, I kind of wonder if they would have rearmed them and prepared a nice cohesive attack, if that would have made a difference in the end. I shouldn't be talking like I've already watched it, but uh, oh, nice. So Comrade is actually trying to push some infantry into some guy's command at Juliet. So it's good to see them trying to kind of push them off there with what they've got. That being said, I think they're going to have a very hard time against those Spetsnaz. Uh, kind of is an interesting one. Right now, some guy has snuck some Spetsnaz GRU right into the back of India, and he's trying to snipe the command, which is an interesting choice. I mean, they've tried it with helicopters, they've tried it a few ways, and it's kind of a novel way. Get in there with the Spetsnaz, run them through the forest. At this point, I'm really thinking Z's team has just lost momentum. So either they don't have fresh pulls, or their pulls are too expensive. Their helicopters have kind of got knocked down, and the momentum is really on Offel, and his team is on their side. They're
But they
getting an
still
alliance set
haven't
up really
taken
nicely.
Juliet.
They haven't, but they've got a lot of assets to push forward. Um, I'm a little bit surprised how long it's taken to get that response onto Juliet. I'm not sure if they know how much is over there. That might be a big part of it. Okay, Gotts is actually starting a general assault between Echo and Charlie here. And that's something I was waiting for to see when they would do that.
Well, he better get that Tunguska out there and covering those tanks, or they're going to be facing a lot of problems from those Mi-24s.
I'm a little bit surprised just clicking on it and notice the radar is actually on. So
It,
it's just a
it,
matter of it not being within range to engage, I guess.
yeah, it's there's a lot of trees obstructing its view. It needs to be on the edge of a forest. Because when a unit is so deep in a forest, they can't really reasonably make out anything that they could see. Oh, okay, here we go. Now we're getting it. I would say pushing the Tunguska out by where that Vatava was wouldn't be a bad idea, but here we go. Oh, and the K-52 gets the snipe with the seed missile on it.
Nice. That
Good
was a
effort.
really nice use of. It was
Good,
like,
good effort by Gotsdam. Just oof. that K-52.
They're a very solid helicopter. It's a very solid choice, and that's exactly what it's there for. So,
And we got some guy over here in India with the Spetsnaz GRU with all the weapons turned off. And now he's spotted. So I don't know if he knows he's spotted, but I think it's wise probably to leave the anti-tank weapons on with the Spetsnaz GRU because at a certain point when there's something of a vehicle within range, um, yeah. But then again, will they notice? I wait. Oh, yeah, they noticed. Offal's moving his spegs and deal with the Spetsnaz now, and the Spetsnaz's anti-tank rifle is not on.
yeah,
Anti-tank,
I'm afraid they'll be done
yeah,
very
RPG.
quickly here.
Oh, now
And
it's
he
on.
just noticed her.
Oh, and he just retaliated against that speg with the quickness. Looks like we got another one, another visitor who
Okay.
does not want the smoke.
I'm quite happy about this. This is something I've been waiting for. Is Comrade has moved infantry up to counterattack into Juliet, and I was waiting for a line to get formed and then those infantry to get pushed in.
Hold on, we have
Um,
we have a massive anti-ship strike. Looks like it's inbound on the north side of the map, going southbound.
whoa! I'm interested what the response to this is. It looks like it pulled off a little bit early, so I'd like to see what it actually does.
Oh, and Jiangsu
Oh,
3 is down. Ah,
well, I didn't see quite how many they lost there, but I think they came back over Alpha, and I think most of those actually got eaten up by the anti-air net over Alpha.
hmm. Maybe a few, but I don't think the manpads would have been that effective to take out that many aircraft.
I'm thinking the Cub M. I'm looking at the Cub M there, and it's down to.
Oh well,
Hmm,
I don't.
no, it hasn't been fired, so I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't think it got too many. Those manpads got too many. They might have splashed a couple though. That's definitely plausible. All right, it looks like some guy is repelling a infantry assault coming over the mountain with a couple Mi-24s. Great choice weapon. Maybe a little too close for comfort though.
I'm a little bit surprised with the knowledge that they have. I mean, they've got the Chikari, the Scout Chikari Elite with Iglas, but they haven't brought in a really good dedicated anti-air asset to support that attack. And that seems risky. It's something where if you know they have helicopters, you know they have Mi-24Ds, why wouldn't you bring in, Tunguskas, something to support that infantry attack?
It's not like the assets weren't there. They were over at Echo. Yeah, it had some Pungi threes he could have pulled up. Even two of them would have been enough. Hell, even one. But oh well, it's just the way it is sometimes.
Now, very, very weak front on Delta Charlie for Z's team. There's almost nothing left there. There's one unit of Gornos, and that's it. The entire front right now is being held by 10 Gornos Strelki.
And the Eric's
Um,
Ranjakari are nice, but without supplies, they aren't that useful. And the supplies that would not be far off, well, have only a little supply left in them. And Comrade is pushing his infantry across the open ground to resupply them. That's a risky maneuver, but I guess he can get away with it a little bit because he has demonstrated to Z he does have anti-air capability, and Z may not be all that comfortable trying to test that anti-air net right now. But
we'll
it is
see
a
as
risky
well.
maneuver.
They
Look,
don't actually have a lot of recon up, so I'm wondering what they can even see. So I'm
uh,
just switching over to Z,
hold on, we got
and
another. Looks like we got another anti-ship strike coming in from some guy and
I'm gonna
Marine.
watch this one. It'll be exciting.
Mm. See,
What are they aiming
I
for?
love the Su-27K because it's like a good all-rounder ship, but as like a single plane with a single anti-ship missile, it's not a lot. And against this many ships, it may be hard to get a missile in. Yep, this is
Very
it.
successfully shot down. Very, very successfully shot down. All those missiles coming in.
Yeah, this is where I really argue for something like this MiG-29K with having four anti-ship missiles firing in volleys of two. It is very difficult to annihilate all four of those missiles without getting hit.
So one of the things interesting at the Delta Charlie front is there's no reconnaissance except for that K-52 over on the Charlie side. And so if you go over to Z, you'll see they can't see Foxtrot, they can't see Echo. They have no idea what's up there in terms of troop movement. So interesting, like just a kind of a lack of reconnaissance. So if you can't see, then you don't know.
Yeah, Z does have a K-52 doing aerial reconnaissance, but all the stuff that he would otherwise see in open ground is not in open ground. It is in concealed territory, like towns, forests. Um, I was actually kind of surprised Gotsdam didn't push up his anti-air a little more, but then again, the K-52 does have some seed missiles, so it's probably better that Gots's guns are inside the tree line, considering that the radar is on. But a little more micro from Gots to turn off those radar guns would be mighty useful.
Especially knowing that the K-52's there, it is a little bit risky. Just knowing that that's something that's very dangerous. All right, we've got a Smerch coming in, Smerch Strike. I'm interested to see what they've aimed this at, if they're aiming just for the fob or what they're trying to get with it, or if it's aimed to kill command.
And looks like the Gordos are dealing some damage on the incoming transports. And this is exactly what they're designed to do. Just plow a missile into an oncoming infantry assault using light vehicles or tanks and give them the treatment that they are not going to be able to ride into town and just dislodge as infantry. In fact, all the infantry was mostly destroyed while inside the transport. This is what happens when you don't have smoke to cover your advance.
I think especially for a high-speed advance where you're planning to advance in your vehicles, if you're advancing against something and you don't know what's there, then you're gonna lose a lot of dudes.
Oh, easily. And Milo might seem like a waste of time or micro. The punishment that you get from essentially not being cautious is way too immense. It's better to waste a little bit of time and getting the smoke up than losing all your units every time. And the Smirch is being counter batteried by
Is
what
it?
I yeah, it
Oh,
looks like it's being counter batteried by Tok Chong 130 mils from Opfal.
and I don't think he's noticed in time, and I think it's actually gonna get sniped, which is gonna be
Or
a
very
really nice
close,
combat. Oh,
very it's either going to get sniped or very close to sniped. He's moving now. It's in
he
danger.
knows. Ooh, I think he moved it just in time. So
Just in the
very,
nick of
very nice
time.
counter.
Yeah,
Very nice counter.
very well. We don't really give those Tok Chong 130 millimeters the respect they deserve for being like a decent long range howitzer, but I think they earn it. I really do. Sure, it's not the Mista S or whatever, but it's respectable.
I think yeah, it's just a good like saturation artillery. You get quite a few pulls on it, I believe, and it's got good range, and the disbursement is wide, but that's not a bad thing if you're trying to actually hit an area instead of just a single target.
Indeed. Well, all right. It looks like we have some business coming out from
Oh,
Opfal. He is committing to a naval assault into Charlie, and we will see how far he gets with that. And it looks like it could be quite successful. We've got a lot of troop transports and what I assume are BTR 60 PBs, perhaps, with Geococte 90, and a couple of Jiangsu 3s and a Munas to support.
I'm gonna say this is actually going to be decisive right here. This naval invasion. I didn't watch it too carefully the first time, but that's a lot of volume, and there isn't a whole lot in terms of infantry or even the helicopters really to counter that. There's a few, but I think they're gonna go the distance.
Ooh, and that 25T did not have a good time. That Jiangsu 3 was really decisive with its anti-air missiles to hit it from the side. All those little transports you could argue had some effect, but I wasn't really seeing damage being dealt until the missile slammed in for the Jiangsu 3.
Now this is a bit of nice coordination. They're definitely trying to get a pincer here. So Gotsdam is pushing into Charlie as well. He's starting to move up. And so they're definitely trying to hit that two angle, make sure that there's pressure on two sides. He's moving up very heavily actually with his Tunguskas. And I think that could, if those get into the fight and really counter those helicopters early on, that could really help that landing.
Yeah, and the K-52 does not have seed missiles right now, so he can move those Tunguskas in without punishment. But he has to remember to keep something on. And right now he's turned it off.
Yeah,
It looks like the
there we
guns
go.
are
Now the
on. Oh, there we go. All right, looks like Opval is unloaded. He's got the Korshens out, and the Algonquins are trying to fight whatever this is. And Godsam is bringing MiG-29K, not necessarily for the role of anti-ship, but for the role of just trying to deal some damage on the helicopters, and it's kind of working. Looks like we got some business down here as well over in Juliet. A lot of attack markers from Godsdam. I think he's trying to indicate that he wants that artillery strike on that area where he suspects that the command and other infantry could be at.
I'm sort of interested to see what Marine's doing as well.
Oh,
Those are still the
Opval.
same BMPs.
Opval dropped coming in with the yeah, with the V5.
Oh, five.
Oh,
See what it
taking out
gets.
the Mi-24V. Oh, all right. Well, they definitely know that town did not have the command. All right, going back to Charlie. Uh, the Marines are with well, the Bajangsu are making their way up. It looks like interesting choice of infantry with the Bajangsu, but you do get a good volume of them in a single card, so I can understand the pick here. But get Spetsnaz,
the
they will be having their metal tested.
the volume of fire coming off those landing craft is it's not doing a lot, but there's a lot of it. So
Lots of pretty lights, a lot of pretty tracers. Oh, looks like we got the Smirch coming.
nice. Let's see how much damage it does. I
Oh,
was talking to you about this earlier and about using it as an anti-ship weapon, and that's exactly what Z's trying to do here.
yep.
Uh,
They moved just in the nick of time because of the Smirch's tight radius. It's good to drop a small amount in that small radius where you want to be accurate. But in this general case, I don't think it's going to be as useful for Z with a high accuracy because he just wants his dispersion to affect all those ships. And
Now, I think one
this is relatively close range for the Smirch to be engaging at. Go ahead.
an interesting thing over at Juliet. So when they realized they were getting attacked, there was kind of they attempted a counterattack from Juliet, but once again, not a lot of support, not a lot of smoke. And the BMPTs that have pushed up so far have taken quite a bit of damage. So they haven't really been able to successfully engage and clear out not a whole lot, but a couple infantry that Comrade has kind of holding the line there.
Ooh, and looks like we have an artillery strike coming in on
Oh.
Marines helicopters and stuff, and the Smirch.
Once again, to mention, Comrade was bringing up some infantry into Juliet, and in the transports, they got hit by an Mi-28, and it was a one-shot kill for both transports. Both got killed, full squads in them.
Ooh. FL coming in with another B5, trying to and Marines trying to intercept with a Su-27 PU, and shoots down the B5, and the B5 manages to shoot down a Mi-28, just bombing helicopters
That's actually a pretty important kill for them to keep the fight up on Juliet. That Mi-28 was a very strong asset, so
easily, easily. Hmm.
I'm kind of looking at Charlie and just seeing Opal starting to try to push forward the infantry. It's a fairly slow advance through the forest there, as a force advance is, but
Yeah,
if they can't counter that, if they can't get something to stop that from pushing into Bravo, that will be the match.
yeah, and I think that naval invasion was the decisive factor here to break the stalemate, to cross that river to finally make its way into Charlie, Bravo, and Delta. They've secured the other bridgehead, and now they can start leaking in from Foxtrot Echo, and that is usually indicative of a game over.
I'm kind of wondering what both teams are looking at like right now for their polls, for their cards, as I don't see a lot of new assets coming out, especially infantry. So I'm wondering, just in general, in terms of attrition, if we're seeing kind of the bottom of the barrel at this point. We're seeing kind of what's left to continue the fight.
It's quite
Marines'
very
defense
much.
on Juliet with the BMPTs has been very strong. Just leaving them in that tree line and kind of mulching up anything that comes along has been very, very successful, especially against Comrade bringing out mostly infantry.
Yeah, Comrade Car does not have any tanks to say, so the BMPT is gonna just reign supreme over those infantry if they have just a little bit of distance between them and the infantry, and
Not,
there's no stopping that.
I'm interested to see if this is smoke or this is actual artillery coming down right now. This is artillery coming down, and unfortunately, it's got a very, very wide strike radius, and their own artillery is hitting their own reconnaissance actually
Oh wow,
on Juliet. Yeah, that's Ophel's. Ophel's artillery is hitting Comrade's scouts. So.
outstanding. And some guy is pushing Spetsnaz against aeronautic Jakari, and those aeronautic Jakari are gonna have a real bad time here in a moment.
Okay, here is a last solid push. So some guy has pulled his Mi-24Ds, Z's pulled Mi-24Ds, and they are trying a deep, deep push around the backside of India. So they're going to try to hit that spawn and prevent them from pulling new units.
That
So
is,
we'll see if this is successful. This is pretty much the cavalry.
I think this is gonna be a really tough job because if they don't unload the infantry and let it go into India first, I don't think they're gonna be able to be all that successful. But we'll see. We will see.
I think
They have a lot
they
of
it,
anti-air there, but it's all close range.
if they would drop it and then push it in, they might be more successful. But it looks like they're just trying a straight rush in, and I think this poor rush is going to get absolutely deleted by those Spags and the Pawn guys. Yeah. So it's a good attempt, but without having those dismounted, those infantry will very, very heavily pay for this assault.
I would not want to be the infantry in this landing operation. Jesus.
We'll see how many of them actually get down on the ground. A lot of them are stunned, so they're having a very hard time getting the infantry down onto the ground. Some of the Gornos are getting out now. Uh, and bringing up the Mi-24Ds afterwards to try to support that is, if they could spot the targets, if they had the reconnaissance to spot the targets, I think that would be very, very successful. Just kind of going back over to Bravo here, just checking out what Ophel's doing. And very steady, kind of just, step by step, infantry coming up, moving through the
And
forest.
Gotstam using the Tunguska as an anti-infantry weapon.
Use what you got, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but this is exactly what anti-aircraft spags are good for. Shilka or Tunguska. High rate of fire, stabilizer, mulchers infantry, and aircraft. Perfect.
Now, this is interesting as Ophel is pretty much like of that push, most of it has been mulched up now. He doesn't have a lot left. Most of those helicopters, or most of the transports are down, and most of the infantry's down. So it's can you kind of just make a front line and hold it till you bring reinforcements up. I think they're pushing a little bit heavy. I think they're pushing a little bit greedy to try to get the fob and try to get the command there.
And you know,
But they're getting very close to that UAZ, so they might get the snipe off here.
and potentially another useful cap would have been instead of going for India, might have been just to loop all the way around and take Hotel Alpha out of the equation. That might have forced them to take a defensive while Z might have been able to have gained the point lead.
Absolutely. I was a little bit surprised. I was thinking they might land the infantry kind of behind India and push them up to the forest. It's a little bit of a longer attack, but it guarantees that your infantry can engage and then be supported by your helicopters.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh,
I think I
where
think
with this, you're
I
just
think
hoping to get some infantry out.
yeah, I think it would have just been a lot easier for them to dismount their infantry and wait because it was a minor lead that they had, so they could have been able to dismount the infantry and wait for the infantry to get in position. But nah,
That being said, they did take it. So I mean, at the end of the day, they do have that point not capped right now, but they've capped one of the fobs, and they do not have.
And here we see
Uh,
something interesting. We see Z using cluster munition against infantry, and it's not even, it's barely panicking them. So this is a reminder as a PSA, cluster munitions do not hurt infantry, if at all, very minimally.
okay, we've got a second Marine wave coming in from Opfal here. Just kind of see what's in them. Nope, those are just the transports from the. Yeah, I think they're just the empty transports. But they are reinforcing that line. They're getting some anti-air forward, and they're trying to get some more infantry up
And Marine
on
learning
the
the lesson
on
of
the
why you
western
don't
river.
stack your helicopters against this Pangay. One missile splashed about two of those Mi-24Bs and brought them down. Brought them down to
Mm,
oof, to a lot of health, and they're both panicked.
I'm very happy to see that Opfel is pulling a lot of the Pongai, and they're starting to pull a lot of anti-air assets. Just because I mean they know there's helicopters, and so the asset that's going to win them and the asset that's going to carry them at this point is something to counter the helicopters. That's over at Charlie, watching them try to kind of just starting to stack up, get a line rebuilt to see if they can push into Bravo again. At the end of the day, it was kind of a messy attack onto India, but I can't say anything was wrong with that. It took the objective. It's just that it wasn't nothing further was done at that point.
Hmm. Ooh, air ground Chicago get out of the building for a moment, and they're absolutely rocketeered by a grounded Mi-24D.
All right, they're pulling in seed planes to try to shoot down the Mi-35 here.
Uh, but again, the Mi-35 is a helicopter and only affected by infrared missiles. And those Cub M's and ITO 90s are just shutting down the airspace.
Oh, that was very, very expensive in terms of the
Ooh,
amount of aircraft that were just shot down there.
yeah.
So very, very wise decision to bring that heavy front of Pongais and Cubams just to defend and kind of shore up against helicopters.
Yeah, it's just intended to just crush the ability for them to pull planes at this point. Maybe you could justify, you know, whipping out a B5 at a potential loss, but then just decimating the anti-air there. But I do not see that being a net win. Um, but the BMPT, he has a BMPT right there. If it's able to get around of Gotz's T-72S1 or go around the rear, there could be some real damage being done by the BMPT.
Now, interestingly enough, I think they've pulled probably a pretty wise decision. They've actually Marines dropped a bunch of Mi-24Ps right above their vehicle en route to Charlie. Um, so it's sort of shutting down the ability for Op Hellsteam to pull reinforcements through that point. And at this point in the match, they just recaptured India, but before that, that was their only route in.
Hmm. And looks like they're finally retaking India and just calling in a ton of reinforcements to finally evict some guy out of occupying that area.
As much as I was a little bit harsh on bringing those helicopters in there like that, it worked and it did what it was supposed to do, and it definitely slowed down Opel's team's ability to really counterattack and really push and finish off the match, and
Hmm.
definitely bought some time. It was a good play that did exactly what it was supposed to do, which is disrupt the ability to pull in reinforcements.
Exactly. I might have a couple quirks about how it was done, but overall, I mean, I give it like a C rating. It was a good rush that was successful. Oh, all right, so Marine is finally tethered into the future and understood my brain and has understood that pulling these BMPTs could mop up these Bangays pretty well. As we watch the BMPTs just go in and absolutely murder, for lack of a better term, what is over here.
Yeah, they're just absolutely rolling through, and you can see the panic. The stuff's being pulled back. They're just trying to get things out of the way.
The MI35 is really struggling to try to see what it can do with both these BMPTs, but these BMPTs are not having it. These honey badgers are here to stay.
That being said, at this point we have a solid 3-point lead for Team One. That's Opval's team, and I mean both teams at this point must just be absolutely exhausted in terms of resources, and it's just a matter of who can pull more in to kind of make the final push. The Marine player, Opval, I think that's going to be a huge, huge deciding factor. Just being able to pull waves and waves and waves of infantry.
I believe that BMPT just survived a B5 strike.
Hit it?
I think it did.
Oh.
It only took 1 point of damage and it's still calm. Was that a B5 strike? Was it? That was a pretty big explosion not to be a B5 strike.
Now, this is interesting to me. Gotts is pulling a lot of tanks, a lot of heavy, heavy assets in behind Charlie. They're kind of being pulled into the forest, and I'm hoping he's going to swing them around and try to push them through the back road into Bravo and really cut off that reinforcement lane. Hopefully pull in some anti-air assets as well, because that is absolutely necessary right now to keep those tanks alive.
Yeah, those BMPTs, while they are really good in the forests, will be absolutely outnumbered by that many tanks. We're seeing about 3 to 4 platoons of tanks coming in, and it is just going to be a lot for those BPDs to handle. But they aren't here to stay and play with those tanks. They are here to push through the forest and clear it out.
Now, if those Mi-24s can get in and engage, they will do a lot of damage. They might even stall up that tank attack for a little while. It looks like they finally kind of, yeah, they're set to engage, so the tank attack is moving in. Try to take Bravo now.
Yeah, this is where Gotts really shines with as an armor player, just being able to bring down that massive tanks in a way where there's very little resistance, so we can capture a lot of ground. And this is
Uh,
kind of what it's good for pulling armored.
Now, Juliet has been, I'm not sure when this happened. The command in Juliet was sniped, and I think this is going to be, I wouldn't say decisive because I think the naval invasion was really the decisive factor on Charlie, but it definitely means that this is sort of the end game. This is where things are going to be over fairly quickly here.
Yeah, looks like
They've
those
got one
M1
place to fight.
M1CZs are having a bad time with those M24 VPs. Um, Definitely lack of oversight with the anti-air. So, but I think that the tank push is still going to commence anyway. But we will see as an Mi-28 comes in that has the potential to shut down this entire tank rush. And already we're seeing probably a decimation of about 2 tank platoons. This might be enough to force Gotts on the defensive.
I think he's going to have to dig in and wait for reinforcements. I definitely think you'll see that. Yeah, the attack is backing off. He's reversing tanks back into the forest, so that shut it down.
Mm.
I think supply is going to be a huge issue at this point. They do have 2 FOBs, Marine, and some guys still have 2 fairly full FOBs. So if they can resupply
Well,
those helicopters,
we got a B5
and
strike over in Bravo. We are seeing 1, 2, 3 helicopters on the ground within radius, and
there
oh,
we go.
2 helicopters out of the game. And
That Mi-28 is going to get shot down. I would
it,
almost put money on it.
it's got 1 HP. It's living on a dream.
That was a very solid B5. Just looking at the infantry and the armor kind of stacked up here, if they start to push in just carefully, slowly, methodically, they get some recon up, they should be able just to sweep into Bravo and finish this off. Very solid by Comrade Comrade. He just had some Chikari, Scout Chikari sitting in the forest, and they shot down the command that was coming into Juliet, try to keep that front open.
Oh wow, must be sitting in Davy Jones' locker, eh?
It just right off the coast, really nice placement, just good oversight in terms of they can see what's going on, they can see what's coming in, and it just shut down the ability for them to kind of keep this fight going and to restart the fight in Juliet. Really, really solid choice. Now, just seeing as he tried to bring some, I think it's Gornos in right now to try to kind of land them and just get a front line set up to hold back what's coming. Once again, not a lot of reconnaissance. I'm just gonna go see what they can see on Z's team, and they literally have no idea what's out there. They're almost completely blind. Looking at Opfal's team actually does have some decent reconnaissance. They can see all the Mi-24Ds over Bravo. They definitely see what's coming and they can see it landing. I'm kind of wondering if they've spent most of their anti-air already, and they're just very carefully trying to bring forward assets. It's interesting. They do have anti-air assets farther back in field, like at India still, and back at Echo. I think they've really been they're being very careful and very conservative now, knowing what happened over at Juliet. They're very afraid of another helicopter rush, and that's kind of keeping them from moving those assets forward and really trying to get them to support the attack at Bravo. So uh, Z's team has done a very good job keeping it kind of as an off-balance fight, but unfortunately, I think it's
Oh, and I see Marine has gone ahead and just scattered his command units across the rear here, just as a troll move. But oh my God, that is just oh
either way, at this point, it's a +5 for Opval's team. They've done a very good job kind of resecuring and slowly pushing in. Um, I'm a little bit surprised they didn't do a bit more of an aggressive push into Juliet to try to clear that out. Uh, and definitely, like you said, a bit of smoke and a bit of artillery coordination in order to really protect those units.
mhm. At this point, it's just a fight from the fob with the helicopters, constantly taking sips. As
Yeah, and as soon as one of those fobs is dry, or as soon as the points add up, that's it. The match will end.
and looks like Comrade's Telarc 84 is out of mortars and is just kind of striding up to the front. I don't think it's gonna have a good time, but we shall see. Gotsdam kind of doing a weird maneuver of pushing his tanks into the rear. Maybe he feels that he needs to like just push through the forest if he wants
I
to try to make it through. But
I,
we shall see.
I really think what's going on here is that they're out of anti-air assets and they know they're fighting helicopters, and so they're trying to keep their stuff in the forest so it can't get spotted and shot after that last tank advance.
Yeah, definitely.
You can see a couple anti-air assets. Comrade has an ITO-90 over by Delta, and Opfel has some Pongays back on Charlie, but there's literally no anti-air all the way from Charlie over kind of through Bravo there, and that will make it very, very challenging without some decent smoke and or something to that attack.
Yeah, especially with an Mi-28 in the area.
He's done a really good job just scattering Gornostrelkai. So they do have defenses in the area. Marine's got his BMPTs there. I think the weight of the attack will take it. But it's definitely been a much harder attack because those helicopters have been very, very successful at really preventing them from committing fully into an attack. Or where they have committed fully, it's really cost them. Now, I'm interested to see what the last move is here. Marine and Z are pulling helicopters, and they're actually pulling them away from Bravo. They're not reinforcing Bravo. So I really wonder what their last little move here is. If they're going to try another attack over Foxtrot, or what exactly they're planning to do. I'm guessing they're going to go for a command snipe because they're pulling everything they've got, and they're committing to an attack back on that Juliet side of the map.
Yeah, I think Caesar's gonna go all in for Juliet again. Just packed up his luggage and he's gonna move into Juliet.
Really nice move by Marine. As the tank column moves in, he brought three Mi-24 Ps and Vs. combined, and he's hitting the side armor of those tanks, so he's really making it hurt for them to push that attack in.
Hmm.
And it was actually enough. Their planned attack, where they pulled their helicopters, they're kind of stalled out and they're just sitting now. They're not even committing them to. Oh no, Z is committing them. Z is coming back into Juliet. He's not giving that up, and I like that spirit. I like that. No, this is ours. We're taking it, even if we lose the match. We're gonna have Juliet. So
Oh yeah.
they will take it successfully, Juliet. I'm 100% sure. I don't think he brought a command, so they won't take it for that reason. Uh, but there is no anti-air assets over Juliet, and he's not going for Juliet. He's going for a straight troll. He's going straight for India again.
As he just sweeps over the mountain, riding for the last match of his tournament,
Well, he went up with style, and the style points are definitely there. Um,
forcing Gotstam to surrender to give his team potentially more points. Oh,
yeah, they,
the Cub
they've
M,
continued.
Cub M is participating in this really, really desperately.
Now that Cup M does have supply, so it'll be able to keep firing, and I think that will definitely help them. And the infantry were not unloaded successfully here, so I think that's going to be a big fact. Well, the match is over at this point, but
Oh yeah, but we're watching the ride of the cavalry at the last bit here.
so I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was very interesting. Very interesting to see a very asymmetrical fight where you're dealing with two very kinds of forces, different kind of forces trying to engage. And the places where the helicopters could engage behind their own line to support and to counteract enemy armor, they did amazing, fantastic work and made it very difficult for Ophal's team to push forward.
Yeah, it seems like Comrade did a really solid job here with just generally harassing, and at least by point value, while he made a couple mistakes along the way, in terms of kill to losses, it did not cost him a lot in the end. But
Yeah,
I would definitely say for Conrad, there's definitely a couple instances in that fight I would have wanted to see some more smoke pushes. But Gotstam making a lot of bad armor pushes without support of anti-air definitely paid the price here. And it's kind of an interesting fight in a way that Z pulling a lot of helicopters got the most kills on his team, but also the most losses by far. Um, so there was a lot of good effort here from both teams. Um, and no, it was good job to Z's team for sticking out to the tournament, and kudos to Z for fighting sticking out to the end to try to break the point imbalance. Um, yeah, that was a very interesting fight. Hope we see more fights like these in the future.
that was very fun, and I really enjoyed the how asymmetrical it was. Very interesting and very dynamic. A lot of movement around the map and a lot of trying to respond to different threats. So overall, that's a really cool fight and very interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
I love it when to see like the anti-ship combat coming into play on these sort of naval maps.
and it supported invasions as well. I mean, Opal bringing in ships to push that invasion forward, and he lost the ship, but it really allowed for the landing in a very real way to
Yeah,
push
because
in and kind of give momentum on that side of the map.
yeah, he had two Jianghus, and he managed to push two of them up, losing one in the naval invasion. But once he got those troops in there, they were just hard to dislodge. So yeah,
All right. Well, thank you for watching that with me, Red, and it's been fun. I'll have to catch you on the next one.
yeah. Well, thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you have a nice day, and we'll see you on the next match.